Formula One is an independent sport. You can't compare it to any other sport out there. You can't compare any sports, to be honest. You know, rugby league and rugby union are exactly different sports. They have rugby in the title, but they're very much different. AFL and NFL are different. And even us in, IndyCar and any other racing out there, we're very much independent. So we're not going to compare them and say, oh, well, this is harder, this is whatever. But it's good to wonder, though, isn't it? Now, in the past, Tom Brady has appeared at Formula One events, and OBJ was the Monaco Grand Prix, so there is kind of a little bit of comparison, and people like Lewis Hamilton and Pierre Gasly love that kind of sport and love America and the dynamism, so we thought we'd jump on that bandwagon as well, and talk about if a Formula One team had to be an NFL franchise, who would they be? And that's, of course, talking about the teams, the drivers, how well they've done, and, of course, just chucking in a little bit of randomness, my opinions. What do I think? So, yes, let's get ready for what I believe. Now, of course, this isn't, a done deal. No Formula One team plays NFL and vice versa, so we've got nothing to go off apart from just a little bit of fun. But there's 32 teams, 32 franchises in the NFL. Of course, there is only 10 teams in Formula One. So, let's say, 10, 15, maybe even 20. I've kind of merged a few together. Formula One NFL franchise, who would they be and why? Now, of course, before I go any further, we are in the playoffs at the moment on the way to Miami. Now, if you did watch the wildcard weekend, it was a massive shift. Some teams were going out that we didn't expect. It was absolutely crazy. To be honest, kind of like 2012-esque Formula One, really. So these choices were made and are also going to be used off the regular season in 2019. That is done obviously because I'll be seeing a few teams at the top which you're probably thinking, well, no, because they didn't even make it or they got knocked out in the wildcards. So yes, this is going to be the regular season of 2019, but let's get into it. Formula One teams as NFL franchises. Let's go, this one should be a good one. Now, of course, rolling in at the bottom is Williams. Now, the two teams that I've chosen for Williams to be is the team that finished the lowest, joint lowest in the NFL tables overall. And they were the Cincinnati Bengals, 2 wins to 14 losses, and the 5-11 Miami Dolphins. Now, the reason that I've put them is, let's start with Miami. Now, Miami, of course, pretty turbulent years. They haven't really had a strong year for about the past decade and a half, really. Really, really strong, obviously, in the olden days, in the 80s with Dan Marino. Really good fame, got some really good results, obviously, really good Super Bowl titles. But really, since then, they've just been dropping off the pace. The franchise has got into a little bit of trouble, difficulty. They haven't really been recognised as some of the others have been coming through. They haven't really had any kind of players to, really get excited about. I mean, obviously, they've got some great players at the moment. Obviously, when they had Danny Amendola, who came from the New England Patriots as well, obviously their new quarterback. But nobody really to kind of think, this is exciting, I'm really excited to get behind this team. Not really excited, I mean, apart from obviously, of course, beating the New England Patriots on the last weekend, obviously, which denied them the top seat in the bye week in the wildcards, which obviously was pretty good to see from them. Miami just, not really hitting the headlines. And of course, the Cincinnati Bengals, the reason I put them at the bottom is because Cincinnati were at the bottom and Williams are at the bottom. I mean, 2-14, you can't really get around that. Really not very good from Cincinnati. They really need to pick up. They do get the first choice in the NFL draft later on this year for next season, but it's not good for them. Obviously, back of the grid, back of the pack, and just not looking very good for them. Now, so obviously moving on to Alfa Romeo. Now, to be honest, a team that I've kind of got a little bit of a soft spot now, and I've developed more of a soft spot, so this choice might be more so for that. Now, my choice is for the Alfa Romeo to be the Buffalo Bills. Now, of course, you might be saying, well, in the wildcard, they did very well getting through to there, obviously, since I think it was 20 years since they got through to the wildcard, obviously beaten by the Houston Texans. But the Buffalo Bills are a team that have really surprised us this year. A little bit like Alfa Romeo. Now, I was saying to Jordan the other day about Alfa Romeo that they're really a team that they can't really fail that much. They've got 2 good drivers. Obviously, Kimi Räikkönen got really good, credibility in Formula One right now. Antonio Giovinazzi, a driver who, I mean, yes, maybe in the first part of the season he was lacking a little bit, but now has really stepped up his game after Monza, got some good results, and of course is now tipped to possibly be the man to be, going to Ferrari in the next few years. Obviously, Italian driver, we know how much they are needed in the sport. So Alfa Romeo, when they do well, it's really revered and it's amazing. When they do badly, it's kind of like, well, second worst team on the grid or whatever. We don't really mind. Alfa Romeo, to be honest, in that state, we don't really mind. And that's a little bit like Buffalo, really. Not the strongest team. I mean, you could really say the third best team in New York, obviously behind the Giants and the Jets. Got some good players. Josh Allen, you could say, is like Antonio Giovinazzi. Very new guy. I think it's his second season now. Really good, strong quarterback. When he takes the field, when he plays in games, again, that's what I was just saying. We don't expect Buffalo to do really well. We don't expect Josh Allen to be this quarterback who can really compete with the either the older guys, the Drew Breeses, the Tom Brady's, the ones who could really bullet it, Hail Mary it down the field, or Aaron Rodgers where he, 70, 80 yards into the end zone. And then he also can't be the Patrick Mahomes, the fast, the agile passers, or anyone like Lamar Jackson who can run out of the pocket. He's kind of this quarterback in the dust, really. And that's why I think he is like Antonio Giovinazzi. He's not looked at, but when he does great results, for example, like, I know I'm not going to say I didn't mention the wild cards, but like what he did in the wild card, obviously, where he got that first touchdown against Houston, when he does things like that, that's when we look and think, that's really amazing. We didn't expect that. And yeah, that's why I think he is a great player and he deserved to get, obviously, to where the Buffalo did at their time. I guess you could say Cole Beasley, obviously ex-Cowboy wide receiver, going to the Bills, obviously the man with the most kind of street cred there, wide receiver, really, really strong for Buffalo, really worked in to be a great player this year, especially for their mid-season game against the Cowboys. Now, you could say he is a little bit like Kimi Räikkönen, really supporting the team, has a good kind of knowledge where they're going, also a good leader, knows how to kind of lead them going forward. And then, yes, I think they're definitely like Alfa Romeo. Good season, good, really strong. As I said, not really looked at to be one of the massive powerhouses in the NFL, but trodden on really, really well. Very much like what they are this season. Good kind of starting block for next season as well. Obviously known as one of the teams to even make it into the playoffs when, for example, bigger teams didn't even make it into the playoffs. I think it should be really good for them, and I'm very excited to see what they can do. Now, moving on to Haas. Now, Haas was a bit of a tricky one to find teams for, but I've gone for two teams. The teams that I've gone for are the LA Rams and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, let's start with the LA Rams. Now, firstly, LA Rams, St. Louis Rams, whatever you want to call them. I just wanted to chuck that out there. That was really, really fun. Actually, I was surprised. I was watching this documentary the other day, and people kept calling them, well, I know a few people kept calling them St. Louis Rams, and I was like, really? They're in LA? Come on. Yes, so LA Rams, new franchise. I guess you could say that's when Haas came in. I know, obviously, they'd been in St. Louis for 30 odd years, but still, you could say that LA were their new franchise when they came in. So let's go off that. Haas came in, massive support. They came from a nice exotic place, America, or in this case, LA. Really great to get behind. Great owner, great staff. Really good to get behind. They had some good players in. Obviously, Todd Gurley, who came from them in St. Louis. Aaron McDonald, and of course their new drafted quarterback, Jared Goff. So in this case, let's say Jared Goff is Kevin Magnussen, and let's say that Case Keenum / Todd Gurley is Roman Grosjean, and then Esteban Gutierrez, or let's say he was someone else that didn't do very well at the Rams. So a lot of kind of good support behind them. Of course, they were in Formula 1 before. Haas were involved in Formula 1 before, but they went in. So let's kind of ignore the St. Louis Rams things. LA Rams, kind of new franchise in LA. A lot of people watching them. Everyone in LA was excited about them. LA were finally getting a franchise back. Now they have two, but back then they had none. And then they were finally getting one. They were getting back LA, who played at the Coliseum. Great to see, kind of really good exotic team to watch. But their first season went really, really badly. They didn't do any impressions. Case Keenum was a quarterback who was replaced mid-season. Just nothing really good from them, Haas. Then after that, they had a good few, obviously, stagnant years. And then obviously last year, they made it into the Super Bowl against the New England Patriots. Kind of up and down road for them, a bit like what Haas did. Obviously, you could say that Haas's 2018 season was kind of their more standout of a year. 2016 obviously was good for them, obviously making some good results. They got 2 on the bounce points finishes with Romain Grosjean in the first 2 races. Romain got into P7 in the 2016 Australian Grand Prix, which is the first time a new Formula 1 team had done that since Toyota and Mika Salo in 2002. So you could say that it was a good start for LA Rams. Last year, 2018 Haas and 2018 LA was obviously their best season. LA getting into the Super Bowl against all odds. Again, a bit like Buffalo, not really watched as this kind of, strong team. And then obviously last year, so the 2019 season for LA and the 2019 season for Haas, terrible. Absolutely terrible. And Jared Goff is a quarterback who did make it into the Super Bowl. And again, like Romain Grosjean, how he's been in Formula 1 for over a decade, and he's this really strong driver. He's had some great drives with Lotus Renault. Obviously, he was the team leader at Haas. Great standout year in 2016 for the new American team. And kind of now overlooked. I mean, last year I was even like blown away how much Jared Goff was actually not mentioned as a quarterback who had made it into the Super Bowl. I mean, there's other quarterbacks who haven't, and he has, and he's just not mentioned in that way. Jacksonville Jaguars as well. I put them in, don't really know why, but yeah, just not really good from them. Really kind of let down year for them. Obviously, British kind of support. I think it was more for the support as well. Obviously, over in London, there's been talks about, obviously they played in London every year since 2007 in the International Series. Kind of good, very good fan base. Kind of, they have obviously Haas really revered over in America. Good support. They are kind of more of a commercial team as well. I guess that's why I put them there. And at the end of the day, yes, just Haas just not performing very well. Anyway, yes, now, so moving on to the next team, which is Racing Point. Now, Racing Point, I've gone for LA Chargers. Or San Diego Chargers, if you want to call them that. Now, that was the reason why I put Racing Point there. Of course I did. LA Chargers, San Diego Chargers. Now, everyone, all the coaches, everyone referred to them as the San Diego Chargers in that year. And I'm like, no, it's the LA Chargers. Very much like us. No, it's not Force India. It's Racing Point. It's not hard. Come on, it's not hard. So mainly for that reason. Kind of starting again, really. They'd left San Diego. It had been a good run in San Diego, but it hadn't been the strongest. And then they were finally making it to LA. As I said with LA, on the team before, they'd gone from no franchises to 2 franchises now. So it was looking, stronger for them. And I've actually seen them play as well in Wembley, so it was very special for that. That's the blue flag behind us. So yes, LA Chargers. Now, good team for them. Phillip Rivers, a good quarterback. But just nothing really on the money. I'd say that's why I really want to go for them, just because of the name change. But yes, not the strongest team. Trying to build themselves up as a better franchise, and we do have a lot more support. Obviously, they're going for a stadium change in the next 2 years. There's a lot more money going into them, and yeah, just hoping for kind of a better season from them. Not really much to say on them, but obviously this year hasn't been good. Bottom of their divisional table, so let's hope that they can have a better 2020. Also, Racing Point, hopefully they can have a better 2020. But some good people in the running. Also, with obviously their quarterback Phillip Rivers, you could say that he hasn't been hitting his mark this year. Does he deserve to be in the team? Again, a bit like what you might say about Lance Stroll. Does he deserve to be in the team? But of course, in that instance, his dad, Mr. Rivers, doesn't own the team. Right, the next team I'm going to go on to is Toro Rosso. Now, this one was a bit of a strange one, but I'm going to stick with my choice. And I'm going to say that they are like the Philadelphia Eagles, the team that won the NFC East, beating the Cowboys, and the ones that got eliminated by Seattle the last week. Now, I don't really know why I put them, but let's roll with them anyways. And again, Toro Rosso, good team, really performing when nobody expected them to. Obviously, this year they got 2 standout podiums. They have had some good years in the past, again when no one's really watching them. Now, I know Philadelphia have won the Super Bowl, which obviously was voted as the best moment of the decade when it did happen. I guess really you could say that for, kind of their kind of plodding along, producing these good drivers, getting some good results, trying to become more independent from Red Bull. But yeah, just, not really suitable standard, just kind of, plodding along, making some good players. Now, there's no doubt that Toro Rosso and Philadelphia have some great players. Obviously, Philadelphia had the London Blitz alum JJ, obviously the running back who won the Super Bowl. So we do have a British winner of the Super Bowl, so obviously congratulations to him. He come from the London Blitz, who obviously I know some of their players down there. Carson Wentz, Nick Foles, they have made some great players, so I guess you could say that for Toro Rosso. Obviously Toro Rosso have made, some amazing drivers. Some have been promoted to Red Bull, some have been promoted back, some have been demoted back from Red Bull, some have been returned. Fiat, Gasly, Verstappen. Verstappen came from nowhere. I guess you could say Verstappen was like maybe Nick Foles, obviously who's now moved on, but has a statue at the Lincoln Financial Field because of his contributions in the game. I guess you could say Carson Wentz as well, obviously their quarterback who did get injured the other day, but a really strong player. I guess you could say he is more of a Pierre Gasly maybe, kind of kicked around from team to team, found his position in the team. And obviously he was promoted he was demoted really, but he was promoted in the team, given more of a chance at Philadelphia, and then of course, made it to the playoffs. His playoff debut the other day, obviously, as I said, didn't go very well, but still, especially obviously what happened in 2017 when he didn't make the Super Bowl. So, good from them. I think it's more for the players, kind of the players that they've made. That's what Toro Rosso have to play with. So obviously I do think that is really good from them. And then let's see what they can do in the future. Of course, Philadelphia winning the Super Bowl. I can't really say that's Toro Rosso, but maybe it's because they're just not looked at. Maybe the Super Bowl was the podium that Danny Fiat got in Germany, or maybe the podium that Pierre Gasly got in Brazil. Not looked at, but still a great result and a great kind of victory that nobody's looking at. Of course, with Philadelphia, everyone's looking at New England and things like that, and nobody was looking at Philadelphia. If they won the Super Bowl, which they did, it was kind of a blowout because everyone was expecting New England to watch. And I remember watching that as well in the SU at university. I remember just everyone erupting when Tom Brady got sacked in the fourth quarter, basically sealing the fact that Philadelphia would have won the game. It was absolutely amazing. I'll never forget that moment. One of the best. And I would say Philadelphia, the win against New England, was voted as the best moment in the NFL. That Philly special. Amazing. So moving on. Now with Renault, I have gone for a bit of a strange team. I've gone for the New York Giants. Now, the reason I've gone for the New York Giants is good, obviously, really good pedigree, really good players, mainly for one guy in particular, Eli Manning. Now, this year when they started, they had their new quarterback that was just drafted, Danny Jones, and I knew that Eli Manning was going to take the stage. Well, he's going to take the stage back from Danny Jones, and obviously that's what they did. Danny wasn't good enough. Then Eli comes in. Now, of course, Eli Manning, been around loads, ex-Super Bowl winner, revered, and I guess you could kind of say that was Nico Hulkenberg, maybe? Nico Hulkenberg obviously has achieved, not as much as Eli Manning has, but I guess you could say it was like that, someone just to take charge of the team who's been there before. Or, if you want, on the flip side, I guess you could say Danny Jones is more Nico Hulkenberg, the guy who, I know it doesn't make sense, but the guy who, he's brought in to, revive the team. This is my year. I've been given a lifeline. If anything, this is my last chance because obviously these players who were drafted, the NFL, not for long. If these players are drafted and they don't do very well, then they're going to be out the door very, very fast. And that could be Danny Jones. Next year he could get traded, and then obviously he could end up just bouncing around teams like we have seen with, other players, other quarterbacks who haven't made it big. Eli Manning, I guess you could say maybe he's the Daniel Ricciardo. So Danny Jones is the Nico Hulkenberg, and then Eli Manning is the Daniel Ricciardo. So Danny Rick steps up halfway through the season to go, I tell you what, Nico Hulkenberg, step aside, I'm here now and I can revive the team. And of course Eli, maybe having more experience at other teams, comes in and helps the team. But of course, as we saw, it is too little too late. New York having some good results towards the end, battling the Redskins for the last two positions in that league. but, really going nowhere, and obviously they're a massive loss to the Eagles in Week 17. So say it as you will, but I'm going to say they are Renault. Also, Saquon Barkley, I guess you could say that is more of a Daniel Ricciardo. The running back, I think he was voted the Offensive Player of the Year in his first rookie season. Great guy. I remember when he was drafted, really, really strong. Kind of, when OBJ left New York, I was surprised that Saquon stuck around. Also, the team needed him. So again, maybe that's a little bit like either Nico or Daniel. They needed him to stay. So they said, I tell you what, we'll give you everything to make you stay at the team. Because obviously, if you go, as New York, we're going to have nothing left. And of course, we're going to bring in a new quarterback, which I think they were one of the only, if not the only team this year to do that, where they drafted a quarterback and played him from the get-go. And I remember he was one of the youngest as well. Yes. Kind of a bit of misdirection at the team, a little bit like Renault. Maybe New York are looking for the better results next year. Of course, that's what Daniel Ricciardo was doing, but we'll have to wait and see. Nothing stand out by Renault this year, even though that's obviously what they were hoping for. Nothing really stand out from New York this year. Now, moving on to the next team, obviously the fourth from top. Now, McLaren, an amazing team to talk about this year, had an incredible season. And I'm actually really excited to talk about this comparison. Love this comparison. I've gone for two teams, but there's one in particular that I'm really excited to talk about. So McLaren, I've gone for the San Francisco 49ers. But this one I'm really excited about is the Cleveland Browns. Now, I'm going to start with Cleveland because I'm really excited to do this. Now, of course, as we've just been mentioned with the previous team, OBJ, Odell Beckham Jr., that's who he came from. Now, he went to the team to kind of revive them, give them a better swing. Maybe that is Carlos Sainz. Obviously, again, Carlos Sainz, actually, wow. How did that work out? Amazing. Carlos Sainz went from Renault or the New York Giants to go to the Cleveland Browns or McLaren to help them along, but also to kind of have a better spin on his season. I mean, OBJ, he's getting on a bit. Maybe he thought that he might not be played much, especially with New York originally looking at, only getting receivers in the 2019 draft. Maybe he thought that he wouldn't be played at New York, especially also with Saquon coming in, the running back who was also kind of leaving the pocket, leaving the quarterback and looking for the ball himself. So he went to the Cleveland Browns, looking to help them along and also get them out of that rut, which they finished. I think they were either the bottom team or the second off bottom last year. So OBJ was looking to help them get to their better position. I would say he's done a good job at that, but he's definitely Carlos Sainz in that way. Also, you've got Baker Mayfield as well, a second-year player. Again, he was an amazing quarterback last year, drafted out of Oklahoma. Just didn't make it really that strong, but again, you could just say that was because of the team that he had. Really strong Baker Mayfield, obviously Heisman winner a few years ago when he was back in college. But some good progressive play nonetheless. I've really enjoyed watching Cleveland play. Kind of look like this new revamped team. We've left all of our players behind. I mean, I could hardly tell you who played for them a few seasons ago. Not really known. I mean, Ohio, Cleveland and Cincinnati. I'm sorry, but what's going on, Ohio? Why are your team so bad? I'm joking. So yes, obviously Odell Beckham Jr., Baker Mayfield as well, obviously looking like a great pairing as well. You've got some great players, obviously have a great offensive line as well. Looking like they are kind of a new revamped team, leaving their kind of what they had before, pressing on and looking like they want to have a better season. And I would say it's been pretty good for them. A few wins here and there, some good battles against people like the Steelers as well. And yeah, I think that it is looking progressive, but it's definitely a young team. And give them a few years, and hopefully they will get back to winning ways. Very much like McLaren as well. Obviously, Cleveland don't have the history like McLaren do. That's why I put in San Francisco. But let's see what they can do. Kind of the revamped team. They've got the young, the fresh drivers. Maybe Baker is Lando Norris, I guess you could say, because Lando obviously does have a lot of experience, of course, Formula 2. And then let's see what Cleveland can do. And the second team, of course, is San Francisco 49ers. Now, Jimmy Garoppolo, I remember watching him at the New England Patriots when he was backup QB to Tom Brady. Really strong guy, but very much like a quarterback that, it was getting bounced around. I think that was his second or third team. Wasn't looking great until he was given the chance to trade to San Francisco and really step up as their main quarterback. Last year, great, but I think he got injured mid-season or something like that. And then obviously this year has been incredible from the get-go. Really worked off-season to get themselves into an amazing position. Now that is where the history comes from. I wouldn't say any drivers like Jimmy Garoppolo. Maybe a little bit like Carlos Sainz, a really strong driver, came out of the blocks as a great, fast kind of where did he come from guy, but maybe not so much. Maybe just for the history, obviously San Francisco having great history. I think they're up to number 5 now. One of the first team to get to number 5 as well. Really strong, and again with Cleveland and San Francisco hoping to get back to winning ways in the future. Now, let's get into the top 3. Really exciting now. Now we're going to go to Red Bull. Now, again, I have 2 teams here. Firstly, as well, obviously, as you know, I'm a Cowboys fan, but I can't kind of put my 2 teams together. Maybe that's a little bit unfair. So I have gone for 2 teams in this one. I've gone for the New Orleans Saints and the Kansas City Chiefs. 2 teams that are very much different. Maybe they reflect 2 different drivers, but we'll have to see. So let's start with the New Orleans Saints. Now, as I've just said there, we're not going to count the wild cards. So New Orleans going out, which was a shocker. We're not going to count that. Now, New Orleans Saints, of course. Now, Drew Brees, in my eyes, was the best quarterback of the 2019 season. And if not the best quarterback of the NFL season, of the NFL franchise so far. I would say he's stronger than Tom Brady. He's much better. He leaves the pockets. He can evade passes. He can run. He's ran for more touchdowns than Tom Brady. And I would say that he's better. Throw in a better team as well. Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, who has the all-time receiving yards now of this season. Great feat to watch. Definitely my best player. If they got to the Super Bowl, I would definitely say he would be MVP. New Orleans Saints, really strong now. They have a little bit of history, but they have a massive support, really strong, and I'm going to say that is definitely Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen is the New Orleans Saints. Now, of course, Max has been around since 2014 with Toro Rosso. They took a massive gamble with the train places, and he's been at Red Bull, and he's basically made it his home, and I would say that is definitely Drew Brees. He is definitely a strong guy who has the team built around him. Definitely Red Bull, showing signs of the New Orleans Saints as well. Great team to watch. Kansas City, I'm going to say that's more kind of Alexander Albon's territory. The newer Red Bull that's coming through, because Red Bull, of course, had the 4 world champions with Sebastian. Hit a bit of a downtime, they had a few years trudging along with Ricciardo and Kvyat, and then obviously Verstappen came in. It wasn't looking amazing. Then obviously it started to kind of build up again. So maybe it started off as the Saints with Sebastian Vettel, hit a bit of a dead patch, and then of course now it is the Kansas City Chiefs. Newer team, love what they're doing, have the history, so both teams have history for sure. See, Kansas City goes back to the late 60s, early 70s when the Super Bowl was obviously coming into play. But Kansas City, newer team, Patrick Mahomes as well, great quarterback, amazing, he can do some amazing things, he can throw, he can evade, incredible. He can run, which I think is definitely the better trait. I love that trait in quarterbacks when they can just evade the tackles and just run out of the pocket and score touchdowns. He can definitely do that. And maybe he's Alexander Albon. They haven't found who they're looking for. They've had a few years of, chucking people around. Is this going to work? Is that going to work? But they've found who they want. And they've found Patrick Mahomes and they've found Alexander Albon. And I think that is definitely a good feat. Now moving on to the second off top team, which is Ferrari. Now again, I've gone with 2 teams here. I've gone with the Seattle Seahawks, don't count the wild cards, and I've also gone for the Cowboys. Now, to put the Dallas Cowboys in Ferrari and not Red Bull was a little bit for me painful. But the reason I've done the Dallas Cowboys for Ferrari is just the history, really. I mean, 5, Dallas are known as this team with, big pedigree in NFL. Ferrari are known as a massive pedigree in Formula 1 as well. And the main thing is with Dallas Cowboys is, so since we won the 5th, and since we were so dominant in the 90s with people like Troy Aikman, we were known as America's team, okay? Who runs NFL but America? Ferrari are Formula 1's team. Now, in Formula 1, if you don't have Ferrari, you're just completely lost. Ferrari need to win, and Ferrari need to be there. Ferrari need to be on the podium. Ferrari need to win. And that's why people have such a hard time with Ferrari. That's why people got more annoyed than ever when Ferrari don't perform. Because you think they've been in Formula 1 for so long, and if they're not winning, then there's no point in Formula 1 anymore. And as I've just said there, America's team for Dallas, Formula 1's team for Ferrari, and very much different to what I was saying about Alfa Romeo before, about, they can't really lose. Ferrari have a hard time winning. And what I mean by that is that when Ferrari do well, it's kind of like, well, there we go. I mean, finally, but, there's no change. Finally, you've won, but, you should just be doing that all the time. When Ferrari don't win, it's like, oh, come on. What are we doing? What are you doing? You've been in Formula for so long. Why are you not winning? And it's frustrating, and it's heart-aching, and it's annoying. And then at the end of the day, when Ferrari don't win, even though Ferrari have done amazing, like for example this year, Charles Leclerc has done incredible. Most pole positions. Sebastian Vettel and Charles Leclerc dominated the second part of the season. For sure, Red Bull didn't get a win. They stopped that, and they even tried to halt Mercedes as much as they can. But of course, the damage was already done from the first part of the season. Very much like Dallas as well. Apart from us losing to Philadelphia in week 16, we had a good season. We beat LA, was there something like 42-10 in week 14. It was incredible. I would say a good season. We've had some great draft picks, and it's been quite progressive. Of course, now we've just got our new Green Bay head coach in. Obviously got rid of Jason Garrett. So I guess you could say that we had a good season. But because we are Ferrari, because we are America's team, people look and think they should be doing better. You had a terrible season. You are terrible. Get out. And I don't think that's very fair, really. I don't think that's fair for Ferrari, and I don't think that's fair for Dallas. Also, as well, obviously, when I made these choices, Jason Garrett was in charge of the Cowboys. I was going to say it's a little bit like Ferrari going through the internal route to who should lead the team. We've had obviously Stefano Domenicali, we've had Arriva Bene and Binotto, who have come from Ferrari. Obviously Binotto was there even before Michael Schumacher was. And the Seattle Seahawks for Ferrari. The newer team, they've got Marshawn Lynch, they've got Russell Wilson, they have got some good players who can stand out. Kind of building the team up again, have a really good fan base now. It's kind of a tale of two Ferraris, really. The old 90s kind of remembrance, the Michael Schumacher days, and of course the new building up for the team. Also, you could say Seattle were a little bit like the Wildcards, getting close, but obviously at the end of the day, just not really performing. They have got their divisional game this weekend, but nothing really stand out from them. Let's see what they can do. Maybe a little bit like Charles Leclerc, maybe it's a little bit too little too late. We'll have to see what happens. Now, of course, this is the big one, Mercedes. Now, Mercedes, for me, there's only one team, and one guy in particular that he can go for. Mercedes, 6 World Championships, really strong team, really, really great to watch. And this team in the NFL has 6. And that, of course, is the New England Patriots. No comparison, really. Of course, they had to be Mercedes. Also, as well, you've got to say that the QB, Tom Brady, is very much like Lewis Hamilton. A really strong driver to watch. Really great guy to watch. Tom Brady, he does get, obviously, there is a lot of people saying that, he might not be the best person to be there at the team. A bit like Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton and Tom, very much similar. They get a lot of hate. But at the end of the day, they are great in what they do. Lewis came with the team. He built the team up. Mercedes, they obviously had success back in the 50s, but they had, a massive dry spell they had a dry spell as a team, since they came back into Formula 1. They had nothing, and Lewis Hamilton got them to win. He won them 5 Drivers' World Championships, and him and Nico together won 6. Constructors' World Championships. So those two things combined just mean that it's a very strong team. And that's exactly what Tom Brady did. He came into the team in 2000 with nothing, and then immediately they started winning Super Bowls. himself, and then obviously Bill Belichick as well, which you could say is Toto Wolff, just came in and absolutely obliterated the NFL, winning Super Bowls left and right, showing that basically when he was the 199th pick of the 2000 draft, he could basically be this amazing guy that we all loved watching. And it was Tom Brady built the Patriots into what they are right now, and so did Lewis Hamilton. Very much like Tom Brady in terms of just everything really about him, in terms of his figure, popularity, in terms of his hate, in terms of how well he does, and of course what he's going to do when he retires. Hits a little bit of a brick wall, for example, in the wildcards when they lost to the Titans, quite embarrassing, I must say. But then there's a lot of talk about Tom Brady. He's not good enough. He should retire. Well, let's remember that he's been in NFL for 20 years now. And you don't just judge someone off one game. Very much like, Germany 2019. You don't judge Lewis Hamilton off one race. You judge him off, his entire career. And you just let him kind of plod along and do what he wants to do. Don't judge him. Don't give him hate. Don't point at the finger and go, oh, he should retire. Just enjoy how long he is in Formula 1 and how long Brady is in football. But it is great to watch. Also, you could say Julian Edelman, very much like Valtteri Bottas. Don't really know. And then, of course, Bill Belichick is Toto Wolff, the man who has changed Mercedes for the better. Ross Brawn did an incredible job, but Toto Wolff has been nonetheless incredible. So anyway, that's the end of this episode. Let us know in the comment section below what Formula 1 team, what NFL franchise you think a Formula 1 team is like and why. Any comparisons you have to American football. I thought this was a fun episode to watch. I like talking about NFL, trying to learn more about it as the days go on. Obviously the divisional rounds this weekend, hope you really enjoy them. And then of course, obviously on the road to the Super Bowl. Let us know also who you think is going to win the Super Bowl and why. The wildcards knocked out quite a few massive teams, New Orleans Saints, New England Patriots. I can tell you right now that I actually thought that the New Orleans Saints were going to win the Super Bowl. So of course that's not true. I have gone for the Baltimore Ravens now. I assume you all have, especially the teams that are left, but I don't want to judge. I'm definitely going Ravens, so come on Ravens. I know that if they do win, it will be good for them. I think that is going to be their first Super Bowl ring. So let's see what they can do. Also, that they weren't in this tree because, as I say, I made these choices in the regular season. The regular season for Baltimore was, I would say it was good, but really Lamar Jackson was kind of the only standout player. I mean, I don't really think that they were the strongest team, but I just think that Lamar is definitely the best player on that team. He's already chosen as the MVP, and I just can't wait to see what they can do in the rest of these playoffs to the Super Bowl. Anyway, so that is the end of the episode. Thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed what you see around here, please like and subscribe. This is the first video of 2020, but of course, the F1 Debate Show will be back on the 1st of February, so we hope you can join us for that and throughout the Formula 1 season in 2020. We've got some massive plans for what we're going to do. We're going to cover all the Formula 1 and also Formula 2 and Formula 3 as well. Thank you very much for watching, and until the next episode, guys, we'll see you later.